Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to Yippee-ki-yay Mother Podcast. Hey, everybody.
Hey!
Hey,
This
can
is
I make
another...
one-
Go ahead, Sean.
I want to make an announcement that this is strictly an ad-libbed show, no prepared material. So we are
Nobody wrote
honoring the
anything.
Writers Guild.
You didn't
strike
tell
at
me we were
this
going off
place.
script for this one.
But
Okay, and somebody passed away this week. Who was that?
Harry Belafonte?
No.
The
that was
guy
last week.
from
Oh,
View with
Jerry
Rooms of View
Springer.
Oh,
Jerry Springer. Thank you, Debbie. You're right.
and Julian
Jerry
Sand.
Springer.
Gordon
You know
Lightfoot
that?
also died.
And Gordon Lightfoot.
What we
And
that's
Gordon
been
Lightfoot.
confirmed.
Gordon Lightfoot died?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
died
heavy.
like this morning.
Yeah.
Wait, Julian Sands, it was confirmed he died?
No, I'm just assuming he died.
Oh, jeez.
it's the same
Yeah,
joke, and
that's
it's
our-
as
yeah.
funny as it
Wow.
was
I
the
thought
It's
this
first
time
funnier
was
and
for
funnier
real.
every
I
week
didn't
we do
know.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily,
Super
nobody's
funny.
watching, so it doesn't matter. All right, so
Wait
tonight...
a minute, this isn't a cage match episode.
No, that's right. This is our new theme called Remakes. Because the
Nice.
cage match was so successful, we decided to branch out and do some other ones.
Ralph, can I
Um,
say one thing? Because
Welcome back, Chris.
I'm looking at the analytics.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
nobody watches this about halfway through.
Right.
So this time I'm going to say subscribe, hit the notification button, and smash the like
Thank you.
button.
Thank
It
you.
really makes a difference.
That's good.
And don't cross the beams.
And
No,
don't
wait a
cross the
minute,
street.
cross the beams.
All right. So this is our remake theme, and you know it's we each bring. I let everybody pick a few remakes that they wanted to talk about, and you can. It's free. Like Sean said, we're unscripted, so it's a free for all. Sean has brought Ghostbusters, I believe the 2016 version.
Yeah.
A remake to the original Ghostbusters from 1984. So we'll do that first. Then we'll spin for the next week's film, and then we'll do a round of what you watch. Okay?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Sounds like it's going to be a blast. So, Sean, take it away.
Okay, well, we were picking 2016 Ghostbusters. It's a remake of the 1984 original Ghostbusters starring Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and on. I got to say, loved the
Ramis.
first film. I was in film school at the time, saw it with a bunch of my new buddies from film school, and it just bowled us over. It was an amazing film. And 2016 is an amazing film too, and in a different way. I will remember I was still a member of the Netflix DVD plan that they're apparently phasing out, and Debbie and I would always get in new DVDs and Blu-rays, and the I'll tell you why I picked Ghostbusters, but my response the first time I saw it was, Debbie and I got the Blu-ray in. So everything Debbie was like, "Hey, do you got any new Blu-rays?" And yeah, I got the Ghostbusters. Let's watch it. And we started watching it. We got about 40 minutes in. It's like, do you want to go to bed? Yeah. And then the next night we're like, "Hey, you want to finish up Ghostbusters?" Nah. So this is really me watching it the first time. But one of the reasons I picked this film, other than the fact that it's a remake of a film I really love, was, everybody's talking about woke this, woke that, but I didn't pay attention to that. But one thing I found remarkable about this film, I think it came out during the election 2016, is that there's going to always be a lot of fanboys on films like this. This is an important film. You're remaking it. You're making a radical change by casting all women in the role. And whether that's good or bad is irrelevant. But if you're a filmmaker and you make that kind of thing, you should be prepared to have criticism of it. But this is the first film I remember seeing where the actors and the people in the production went to war with the fans about it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading one of them wrote like a tweet like, "If you don't like this film, you're a misogynist and a Trump voter." And it's like, that's automatically going to, and I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, is this a studio, a for-profit business? You're automatically insulting half your audience. You're insulting the people who are most the fanboys that are usually very excited when a sequel comes out or a new film with characters they like. In a sense, they're your best audience, but they can also be your most vicious audience. And the fact that they went to war with them just seemed like a really stupid policy. And I'm not going to say that, a lot of people didn't like 2016 Ghostbusters. They say it ruined their franchise, but I don't feel that way at all. I feel the first remake with the original cast in it ruined the franchise because I thought that movie sucked. And
Still made a lot of money.
Should I go into my review of this?
That made a lot of money.
Well,
though.
wait, but I want
This
to back
one
up.
didn't.
Yeah.
Wait a-
I want to back up to the part of the reason was the fanboys are obnoxious. Like, who gives a crap that they're going to remake? I get it. A lot of those fanboys, or I like to call them man boys, said they ruined their childhood by remaking this movie with women. It ruined their childhood because they took their beloved Ghostbusters and remade it with women. So yes, did
Women
they
never ruined my childhood, my
What did-
late teens.
did they overreact? Paul Feig and the group of people that he had around him, they overreacted. Okay,
They overreacted in a big way. That was
they
stupid.
overreacted, and they shouldn't have done that. And they even did it in the film. Actually, they carried it into the film, and they were trolling fanboys in the film. Meta. They were saying they were making fun of the Ghostbusters. You're not like the original Ghostbusters, and they trashed them in the film as well. So I think this
They
starts
made
with,
a lot of remarks.
and we talk about
dudes.
fan base all the time on this show. John does in the Star Wars thing about how the fans are always upset that things are getting ruined or they're using different actors and they're changing it to women and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. I love the movie Jaws. Okay. I never want to see a remake of Jaws, but if they make a remake of Jaws, I'm going to go see it. And I don't think I'm going to sit there and go, if it's not any good, you've ruined my childhood. If Bruce becomes a woman shark or female shark or whatever, I'm going to be upset. You know what I mean? Or Brody becomes a female sheriff or Quint. Who gives a shit? I love the first movie. I'm done. It's like it's the fanboys, the fans that are the problem in these situations.
Well,
I have to.
Chris.
I was going to say I have to agree with you there, Ralph, and stuff, because while I agree with you, I wonder what the outcome or the positive net you're going to get by going to war with some trolls on the internet are. But I can also understand that from a production standpoint, where you literally have all these people just spewing vitriol on your product before anyone's ever seen it, simply because it's women and they're going on and on about it. And from a business standpoint, Sean, and I don't necessarily think this is the right thing, but maybe they had the attitude that if we just let these guys go and trash this thing before it even opens, then maybe, it's already going to be tainted and people won't be interested in seeing it. Now, I don't think what they did was necessarily the smartest move. And I think by going to say, if you don't like this movie, you're a misogynist. But I think you can go so far as to say, if you're not willing to give this movie a chance just because it has women in the lead role, maybe you are a little misogynist. And I mean, I don't have a problem saying that because I kind of think that's true. Also because, and like you, Sean, though, I agree with you 100%. I think the sequel was not good. I remember seeing the sequel when it came out when I was, however old I was in 1989. I was a teenager. I loved the first film. I thought it was very funny. And then when the second one came out, I was like, okay, so we've got the Statue of Liberty walking to like dancing goo, and it just was terrible. Let's be realistic.
And they de-emphasized Murray in it too.
It just wasn't that great. But my thing with this film, and once we get to actually talk about the film, once we've finished talking about the controversy, I'll give you my thoughts on this film. But my thing is that, like, yes, they've made a radical change, and I've often said if you're just gonna try to remake a movie, right, like truly remake it, like Psycho style, right, which was kind of interesting because
that was shot for shot.
Yeah, but that's my point. It was interesting because he did it so slavishly, right? What's the point of making a movie if you're not going to try to bring something new to it? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You guys talked about Pelham 1, 2, 3 last week, and I think all the backstory and all the animus directly between the two leads didn't bring anything to that movie. But hey, they tried it. They tried to do something different with it. My thing is like, as far as that controversy is concerned, it's like, yes, it's a remake. It's not going to be exactly the same. And if you don't want to go see it, don't go see it. And if you go see it and it's terrible, say it's terrible. But I think this idea of everyone like preemptively attacking it and This whole "it's ruining my childhood" thing.
It's ridiculous.
It's a movie about guys. It's a movie about guys who hunt ghosts. Okay, let's
Well, ladies.
the breaks.
Well,
Or
also
Viola.
the Phantom Menace already ruined our childhood. It can't be ruined again.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Sean, were you going to review? What were you going to say? You going to review?
Okay,
this?
well, I was going to say, so even though I recommend this film, I had not seen it because I kind of wanted to see it, and it's sort of like I didn't want to watch it unless there was a reason. So it seemed like a good reason to bring it on the show for remakes. And I will say that I thought the first joke or two were actually funny. I liked the joke
With
where
Kristen Wiig, she was hilarious. I mean, not hilarious. She was very funny when she started out as a very insecure scientist. And I thought her comments were just so sublime because they were so subtle, and you had to really listen to what she was saying.
Yeah, it was amazing the way she played, completely different than she always plays all the time. Yeah, no.
Just really. But
no, but I like the joke. I like the joke where they're showing the grandfather clock or whatever. It's like this shot clock was actually on the Titanic. Mr. What's his name? Wife and daughter had to get off the lifeboat so that it would fit. You know.
There was only one good joke in the movie, I thought.
Which
was the joke where they first meet Ed Begley and they think it's the dead. They pretend that it's the dead. That's the one joke that. Go ahead, tell me, because this movie is beat for beat.
I think we're already getting into what the problem with the movie is.
It was started out very subtly clever, and it was very. I enjoyed that part, but then it just got mean. It just got mean and just stupid, And it was always the same joke with
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Helmsworth.
He was a himbo.
Yeah, but there was no parallel to that in the original one, where Annie Potts was, like smart
Sassy.
and intelligent
She was
and
sassy.
useful.
Well, yeah, but it was the idea that it's a male secretary. I mean,
yeah,
very
dumb
dumb
male
that's a tired,
dumb. Yeah,
tired
himbo.
thing.
He was a himbo.
Yeah.
What did you say? It's Ralph.
Himbo.
A himbo, not a bimbo, but a himbo.
Oh, a himbo.
Actually, it's
Very.
Mimbo.
Did
Seinfeld,
you invent
it's
that?
Mimbo.
Ralph,
He's a male bimbo. He's a Mimbo.
The Mimbo. Yeah.
Ralph, did you invent that himbo?
No, that's been around a while.
Oh, I'm not woke
Privy.
enough.
I may
for
have,
that.
but I don't know.
No,
No, I mean they try. Okay, I don't know how we talk. I mean,
Well, can I say,
please.
here's my problem with the film is I don't think the film knew what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's like, is it a comedy or is it a big action spectacle? Because it
Check,
went
yes.
too far on the action. And it's like pretty much any sequel or any remake. If one little thing worked in the original film, it's in there 10 times as big.
Well, that's what I mean. It's beat for beat to the original film.
And then it's like at one point, like they get slimed. Bill Murray got slimed, like he slimed me, and it's funny. Now everyone gets slimed. There's oceans of slime. And there was a scene late in the film where the guy like slimes up out of the sink onto Melissa McCarthy, and then she's like throwing up slime and everything. And the evil spirit's like, maybe I went too far. I'm watching that scene and I'm like, is this supposed to be funny, or am I supposed to be terrified? You know what I mean?
Well,
I
the
just
thing
didn't-
about the
I didn't-
original-
literally didn't know.
The original Ghostbusters was a comedy,
comedy.
but
Yeah.
it had some scenes in there that were pretty, like the first ghost in the library. That's a pretty scary scene.
Yeah.
I mean, which that one.
How
that
about when
lady.
Gozer got Sigourney Weaver in the chair?
Yeah, I mean, there's some deep, there's some
Some
stuff in
shock.
there that's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
And this one, not so much. This one,
And
it
also, there
it
was no sense of danger either. I never felt for a second that anyone was in any danger.
well,
you know,
because
like
they're all so
poor Rick
funny.
Moranis, who knew what was going to happen to him.
Oh, that's right. He was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I forgot.
The dog was going to get him.
But this was directed by Paul Feig, who had just come off Bridesmaids, right?
which was hilarious.
Which was an improv movie that worked, right? That
Hilarious.
worked. So they said, let's do the same magic. Let's get all these people who can improv. And they ruined the film by doing that. That stupid dumpling, Melissa McCarthy getting the dumplings from the Chinese restaurant below their thing. I mean, how many times do we have to see that over and over and over? Or,
Hey,
we
they
get
played
it.
it off. She had a whole thing of them.
We get it. And they make, instead of fart jokes, they're making other jokes to make it, it's female, so it's got to be different.
Quiff
and
jokes.
it's, I didn't want to say that, but thank you.
What'd you
Um,
say, Sean?
Quiff.
Yeah, repeat it because we didn't hear the first time. So make sure you repeat that.
Right. There goes our monetization. We're done.
my
We're done.
goodness.
making
I'll
money on this
explain
one.
it later.
So,
I'm not.
So-
Some of these references.
so they had these talented actresses and a director who could handle improv, and they kind of
Could they?
ruined it.
Could
And if you look at Paul Feig talking about, I do that because he always wears a suit when he directs, I guess. If you listen to the director's track, or you listen, we'll watch an interview with him about this film. They just thought they were geniuses, and they got all the science correct. They had nuclear physicists in there to talk about the science, so that all
Yeah,
worked.
because that's really how
But they
you do it.
take there's a great comparison where they talk about when we first get introduced to the pack that they have in the elevator in the first film. That's the first time we're introduced to the proton pack, right? Where they turn it on and the two guys back away. That is timing. That's comic timing. What do we get in this one? We get Melissa McCarthy turning that proton pack on and getting flipped all around the alley, right? Oh, this
that
is
was
funny. And they just
hilarious.
keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And it shows the difference between a scene that works with a slight bit of humor and well written and well acted and well improv, and then one that isn't. And they wonder why it didn't.
Over-reliance on special effects.
Over reliance on special effects, product placement, the whole thing. I mean, this movie had it all. And I didn't hate it, and I didn't go in to hate it, but you can see why it just didn't work. I mean, it had nothing. Bill Murray was in there for no particular reason other than just to have Bill Murray in there.
Well, they
And their
did it-
lines that Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were saying were so stupid. It's like they thought of that like in one afternoon. It's like no thought to what they were going to say in this film. They thought that was clever, but I didn't think it was.
Well, they're
even...
trying to protect their legacy too. To be fair, I mean,
And
they're
I,
trying.
but
to
I also
protect
think Ernie Hudson was in it, Annie Potts was in
Over
it.
the credits.
They actually had a bust of Ivan Reitman because he had passed away, but there's actually a bust of him in this movie apparently.
I
And-
like a good bust.
and I and I had not seen this film. I hadn't gotten around to seeing it. I didn't really have a desperate desire to revisit it. And then when the actual reviews of the movie started coming out, it was even less, right? So even though what I said all at the top of the show, I still agree with. And despite the fact that as a liberal, I really, really wanted to like this movie, it just wasn't funny. And I agree
That's
with you on every point. This fact that they go to that alley like 3 times to show off their new gadgets, I was like, really, we're back in this alley again with her little, whatever, it's the puncher or the shredder or whatever. And I'm just like, please, this has got us. I saw that there's actually an extended version of this film. It's like 20 minutes longer.
Yeah, because he let them just
The
improv. They
Indian
probably were just
version.
sitting around. Yeah.
So the issue was, and it's funny too. I actually thought the first couple of minutes, a few of the jokes landed for me, and I was like,
Yeah, same
that's kind
here.
of funny. That's kind of clever. And I thought maybe everybody had it wrong. And no. Everybody was right. This movie was bad. And I guess kind of to take it back to all the controversy, it's one of those things where it's like, guys, you didn't have anything to worry about. People were going to forget about this movie pretty
They
fast.
did.
And they did. In fact, I think one of the reasons we're even talking about it is because of the controversy, But yeah, no, this movie wasn't funny. It wasn't good. It like you said, I never felt like I just didn't care about any of the characters. It was bad. Let me just put it that way. It was not a good movie.
All right, John, you're up there shaking your head.
I'm just reacting to what everybody's saying.
Let me
What do you
hear
mean
something.
shaking my
Say
head?
something. I want to hear.
Well, look, I didn't go. I know you guys talking about the controversy. I think it's a bad move to trash your audience, no matter whatever reason. I think it's a bad move, but that's not why this movie failed. This movie failed because it was awful. And if you're going to make a comedy, you got to make something that's funny. And this movie was not funny. It tried too hard. And the other thing is, I think there's a few perfect movies. Okay, The Sting, Jaws, The Godfather. I don't want to see remakes of those movies. I just don't. I don't think it'd be good. It won't capture the spirit of the original. And the original Ghostbusters is a classic for so many reasons. The way they mixed the genre of comedy, and not horror is not the right word, but there were serious implications that what was happening in that movie that made the comedy that much better. And if you look at the cast of Ghostbusters, those particular guys, especially Bill Murray, who I don't think's ever been better, and the fact that they were able to get Sigourney Weaver in this movie, a very serious actress, it was a very special movie that people still, Ralph talks about fanboys, and I'm a fanboy. I have a proton pack wand.
Wow.
But that's not why that movie did the business that it did. It did it because it's a great movie and everybody went to see it. And the sequel, as bad as it was, and it was bad, it did very well at the box office. This movie did horrible at the box office, not because of the controversy, and not because fanboys avoided it. It stunk. And when I saw
those
this
are
movie,
those are
I
two
didn't go in going, I'm going to hate this movie no matter what. I wanted it to be good. My thing was, boy, the technology is so much better. They must be able to do something really special with the special effects. I kind of went into it that way. And I like Kristen Wiig. But to your point, Ralph, Kristen Wiig does the same thing. She starts mumbling.
Yeah.
And Melissa McCarthy, who I also like in some things, I just didn't work for me. It wasn't funny.
Leslie Jones was, I think, the most
The line.
grounded out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
group.
Leslie was the best.
I just
I-
didn't
When she
find her
was in it,
funny
it was
either.
better.
No, I liked her scenes down in the subway where she's touring the subway
a-
with them.
But I thought
But-
overall
and the
film was-
Exorcist thing when she's
the film was just bad, and it died. And again, and if you read the reviews on it from critics, not from fanboys, they all said the same thing. It just was.
No, John, let's separate the two.
It's
okay?
a crime
two
that it's not
separate
funny.
things. It's two separate things. The fanboys just got to shut up and not. Who cares? Just get over yourselves.
Well, wait, whoa.
Well, in the
Let
world
me
of
just say
social
one
media,
thing.
that's an
Well,
impossibility.
okay, but
So-
then
so
grow up.
That's
Then
not going to
grow
happen.
up. Then
So you
grow
can
up
you
instead
can
of shut
pump
up.
a
Grow
movie
up.
all you want if it meets your ideology, and that's okay. But if you
Not
go against
ideology?
it-
Oh, my God.
No, it is because, like Sean said, they trashed half their audience before the movie even came out. Not the fanboys, half the audience.
filmmakers.
Some were fanboys, some were not. Just people who want to go to a movie. So if that's the way you're going to start,
How did they trash people who weren't giving them shit?
They said
I
if you
understand.
don't like this movie, you're a misogynist and
Well,
a Trump
that-
voter.
and a
Okay,
Trump
that's-
supporter. So there you go. 70 million people out there. They're not all fanboys. But let's put that aside because I don't want to get an ideology. But if you're going to do that, you better have a funny movie. And to me, that's the biggest crime of all. You made a movie that just wasn't funny with funny people in it. So, and I'll tell you what, you always talk about websites, right? There's a guy out there called The Critical Drinker, who I absolutely love. He does a take on Ghostbusters versus this version, and he breaks down one scene, and it's all about comedy and timing.
Right.
And he analyzes the scene, and it says everything you need to know about this movie. It just wasn't a good.
Did he compare and contrast? Did he pick a scene from both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's the shame of this movie. It just wasn't funny.
Well,
And-
even the first scene, we're talking about the librarian
Yeah.
in the first movie.
Yeah.
In this movie, what happens in this movie to the actor that ends up in that mansion and it turns into this complete
Right.
chaos, right? All Paul Feig talked about was what a great improv guy that guy was. Right? And he put him, and that's the director's fault that he let that shit go on like that. So if you're going to blame
Well, right.
anybody,
Well,
you
maybe
blame
they
the
went in-
director.
they didn't go in with a good script
You're
because
right.
they figured we have all these improvisers. Maybe that's what it was. And
Maybe,
I know Ghostbusters
but that's what
had
he
a good-
does.
Ghostbusters
And like I said,
the
he-
original Ghostbusters had a good script.
Yes.
They let Bill Murray ad lib, which he did, but there was a script there that was funny from the beginning. From the
First, I
jump.
want to make 2 points. One, if we remember, the original film was not scheduled to star Bill Murray. It was supposed to be John Belushi,
Right, that's right.
who probably would have done good, but it would have been a whole different
That's
movie.
right.
It
Yeah.
would not have, in my opinion, it couldn't possibly.
And
have been
John
scheduled.
Candy was supposed to be Rick Moranis' part.
Why
He
wasn't
turned it down?
Why wasn't John Belushi in it?
He died.
He died.
But it's a
It was
ghost
written-
movie. It's a ghost movie. He could still
was-
be in it.
It was actually written. Aykroyd wrote it
Oh,
for Belushi.
Drew. That was
So-
just very
I'm not even
good.
going to hit the drum snare on that one.
I'm not. That doesn't
Can I
need
wanna
any
say-
help.
I
What
want
was
to
the
say
second
something about the fanboys.
Yeah.
And if you read industry stuff, the studios made the fanboys
Of
by
course.
going to Comic-Con and all, because
True.
what they want is to create films that these kids are going to be the unpaid, not kids, they're probably all my age, are going to be the unpaid ambassadors to. I mean, Comic-Con is like a holy event. Every Marvel movie, anything fantasy, sci-fi, or anything they go out there and suck up to these people.
It's weird.
You
It's
know?
a weird kind of vibe
So
there.
the studios created these people.
Have you ever been to Comic-Con or anything like that? Such things?
Yeah, I've
You've been
never
to Comic-Con,
San
Chris?
Diego
It's so weird,
never
isn't
San
it,
Diego.
Chris?
Oh.
No, but
I
I
think
mean,
he dresses up. Don't you dress up?
no, I don't dress up.
I thought you dressed up.
I actually one time I did dress up as Bill Murray from Lost in Translation. I got an orange camouflage T-shirt and wore it inside out with a sport coat. Nobody got it.
That was lost in
Oh,
translation.
that's deep. That's a
my
deep cut.
God, that's
Deep cut.
Oh,
Anyways.
Drew, you've been quiet, kind
That's
of.
funny.
I got 3 sticks here.
Drew, what do you got to say about this controversy?
No.
Pass.
Just the movie.
No, I'm just kidding. Um,
It's like Greenland.
I think Greenland is a much better movie. I actually saw this movie in the theater and then did a 2.5 hour podcast about it. I don't remember anything that I said. I just don't think this movie is anything. It's a comedy that's not funny, but that's not offensive. The only thing I remember is I thought Chris Hemsworth gave off a vibe that he was kind of down for anything, so that was fine as an actor.
Yeah, he's fine.
And Leslie Jones was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I really
liked
believed
her.
her
Yeah.
as a character, as a person who's having a problem that nobody believes, and then these silly people are actually going to help her and stuff. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. I didn't really care. I don't regard Ghostbusters as any kind of holy relic, anything. I think it's a very entertaining movie. I think the sequel isn't. Because I guess I was 8 when Ghostbusters came out, so that was like a real formative time. I saw Ghostbusters, and then I saw Goonies. Like I grew up watching that movie and everything. I think this movie was nothing special, and that's too bad. I think any movie where they actually do that much improv is a real good chance that it won't work. I think you should have a script before you spend
Structure.
any money. You can have a script that's exactly what this movie should be, and then whatever comes out of the edit is totally different. But I don't know. I got the impression that like these people, when they were making it, they were like, yeah, this is going to be really good. And I thought that just seemed like it would be a really boring movie to make. The actor that played the villain, I actually like him a lot, and I thought he did a nice job, but I don't know, there just wasn't really anything to it, and that made me very wary of Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I really enjoyed. So
I kept
I
away
don't-
from it because of this one.
yeah, no, I think Ghostbusters Afterlife, I mean, it's what is it, legacy sequel or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Who was
just,
in that?
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd is in it, and Carrie Coon, and some
Yeah.
kids. One of them's from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It's a fun, silly action comedy. If you've seen and you like the original Ghostbusters, it's a complete reweaving of all of those things. Less pretty in your face, but less so than like The Force Awakens or something. But that was entertaining, and this movie wasn't entertaining, and I didn't feel that strongly about it when I saw it in the theater 7 years ago, and I don't really feel that strongly about it now. I just
And they definitely
remember how
paid
controversial
homage
it
to the
was.
first film throughout that film.
You're talking
After-
in
about
Afterlife.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't
Yeah.
exist
they
without.
brought
without
what's
the
his
first
name
one.
back, right? They
Right,
hologram.
Harold Ramis.
Harold
Yeah.
Ramis.
So-
Egon.
Egon.
And I want to say I do want to say something positive too. I thought Andy Garcia as the mayor was very good in this film.
Actually, that's true. I did like Andy Garcia as the mayor, but I like Andy Garcia.
I'm not the mayor of
I mean,
Jaws.
he's-
I'm
what
not the
is
mayor
he?
of Jaws.
Yeah,
Isn't he
yeah,
good?
you're going to be the mayor. Don't never call me the mayor. But also, I'll tell you one thing that this film is missing that Ghostbusters
Comedy.
had, other than the comedy. In
Laughs.
this film, everybody are believers. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true.
And Bill
Yeah, no,
Murray,
yeah, that's
when Bill
interesting.
Murray starts off, he's essentially a fraud.
Right.
Like Egon and everybody, they all believe, and he's skeptical.
Right.
So, in a sense, there is no everyman who we
Right.
view these events through in 2016.
Well, that's Leslie Jones. I think that was supposed to be her.
Well,
Yeah, she came close.
yeah, but
No
that's
human
so
being
late in
would
the
stack
movie.
books like that.
But it's like Bill Murray starts us off. He's skeptical. He doesn't believe it, and becomes a believer. And I think in a film that's as fantastic as this, it's good to have that everyman character. So I think that was a tremendous structural
Yeah,
mistake.
and nobody had an arc. you know?
Yeah.
In the hero's journey, any screenwriting book that you get, you know, remedial
They
screenplay,
became friends,
you
but they were
have to
friends after 15,
grow
5
through the
minutes.
film, you know? You got to have something that you
Well,
are challenged.
this is the general problem with this film is you're comparing it to a complete masterpiece. I mean, it's a masterpiece. Ghostbusters, the first one.
Yeah.
It's a
even-
masterpiece in writing and acting and improv, the whole thing. And to try to duplicate that, and frankly, it's a stunt. This is the problem they had is it was a stunt to make it an all-woman female cast, just like
That's
Ocean's
what
8.
they have to answer for that in the sense.
Ocean's 8 did the same thing, right? They did an all-female version of that thing with Sandra Bullock. It wasn't a bad film, but it's a stunt. Say what you want, it's a stunt. And
I tend to
to
think that's true, Ralph. You
and to
got
do
it.
a stunt off a masterpiece. Now you've already set yourself up that how are you going to compare to that? You make it a stunt, and now you're getting pissed off because people are getting angry that it's all female cast, which is ridiculous of people getting angry, but whatever. And you get a director who's this. I'm sorry, that guy seems a preemie. Like there's something about it. If you watch the behind the scenes, they were so proud of what they were doing on the set. I guarantee you they weren't. It wasn't a boring set. I guarantee you people were laughing their asses off, thinking they had a home run through the whole thing.
If you laugh on the set,
Yeah,
I don't know that. I don't know, but I'm just
That
saying. I
can be
think
it can be a bad sign.
they thought they had a
Really?
home run.
Well, they've been
And-
talking about like making a sequel with the original cast for a long time, but
Yeah.
Murray
Murray.
would never commit. And then Ramis died. Then they were talking about Jonah Hill and what the hell's his name? The other guy that's just like Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen. They were going to do another one with them, and then that somehow. Then they were going to. I think it was that was Men in Black with 21 Jump Street, and then it turned into this. So I don't exactly know why they went this direction, but again, I think what I like about
Bridesmaids.
Afterlife didn't ignore the first movie, where this one ignored completely the first movie. And when you have Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd just making cameos, not as their characters, but as a taxi driver and some professor or something.
Okay, so
Which is
reverse
silly.
that now. Now, how about a new film coming out, not Bridesmaids, but The Ushers with men?
They've already just called The Hangover.
Well, I think that would. I mean, they
The
did it
what?
with The Hangover.
It's called
The
The Hangover.
Oh,
Bridesmaids was
well,
the female
day
version
late,
of The
dollar
Hangover, really.
short.
That's. I think that's a little. That's not. That's different. That's different than this. And again, I think my biggest complaint about, and Drew said it already, it's just not funny. And it's like you have a comedy with really talented, funny people. It just wasn't funny, and that's you
Right.
got to blame the director. And you got to blame the script. Was there
And
a
you have
script?
to
I'd love to
blame-
know if there was a script.
And you have to blame the intent, because the intent was to, you know, to, I don't know, I
It's a
saw a
stunt.
lot,
Make money. They didn't even include it
probably,
in
you know,
the
make
box
money as a stunt.
Ghostbusters 4K.
make a-
they didn't
make a
include
gimmick.
this.
But this thing that they did was just not, just bad
It was bad
behavior.
filmmaking.
Is
what
this
it was.
owned by the same studio that owned the rights
Yeah.
to the original?
They own the
Ghostbusters?
rights to it. So yeah,
all the
and they
same.
left it out. They put Afterlife in there, and I think even the cartoon, which is the real Ghostbusters, is
And they left
considered-
it, and they left this one
was
out.
considered canon, and they don't consider this film canon. The studio. So
Now you're talking religion.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
yeah.
what a great discussion.
Well,
Yeah, it's a
Did you guys see
discussion.
my Nerd Boy Proton Pack
Hey,
one?
how many ghosts have you sucked into
Oh.
that thing?
You don't even.
I bet he
hear
sucked
that?
some
I mean,
things
listen
in
to
with
that.
that thing.
Huh?
Oh, God.
Why don't you get your phaser out and
Also, for
Leave
the
me up,
I
record,
don't have
Scotty.
one.
wait a second.
for the record, I agree. I mean, I think saying that, if you don't like this movie, you're a misogynist and a Trump voter. I mean, there were definitely people who didn't like the movie because they were women in the movie, but I don't think it's fair to associate misogyny directly with Trump voters. You can associate misogyny with Trump, but with voters, I think it's much more likely to be white supremacy
Absolutely.
than misogyny. So
Absolutely. I mean, Clinton, Trump, it's
What did
all
he
the
say?
same. I have no problem with that. But to
Ugh.
say your audience, because they voted one way, are misogynistic before the movie comes out, I think there were some people who wanted to
listen.
go see-
Everybody was oversensitive. That movie, The Hunt, came out, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was never going to see that because it's making fun of Trump voters, and why should you watch this? And it turns out, if you actually watch that film, it's
It's in favor
completely
of
the opposite.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
That's
the last
film we saw
because
before
nobody watched it.
COVID.
It's a fun movie, and nobody watched it because they were worried about the other stuff. But this is a different level, and again, it has to do with, I think Paul Feig is the problem that it started with him, and he got all prissy about the fact that people were coming at him,
Right.
and he was trying to protect his people that are in the film. I get it, but it just he lost the sight, he lost the vision. I'm losing my light. He lost what he was shooting for there, and he
And
kind of
ghosts are
blew it, I
after
think.
you.
Yeah, I think I made fun
I
of
am-
Paul Feig.
Ralph, what do you
in my
need?
lighting.
You need me?
No, I think I get him. Go get him.
Ralph, I'll be right there, man.
Yeah,
I ain't
brothers,
afraid of no ghosts.
brothers in arms.
What- I will say that I did go
Mother
into this
puss
an
bucket.
open-minded, and for about 5 or 10 minutes, well, probably 4 to 8, 3 to 7. You know, I actually thought, you know, I may like this film.
Yeah, it started out
You know,
okay.
Listen, Kristen Wiig is fun. Kate McKinnon is fun, right?
No,
In
I
small-
don't get her. I just don't think she's all that funny. She
Well,
does
you're
not
talking
do
about Kate
it.
McKinnon? Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, Kate
there goes my
McKinnon.
light.
I think she's brilliant, but she wasn't funny in this.
Her joke is always the same.
Right.
She on Saturday Night Live, she has this one joke. You know, she hits on women, and that to me that's
Well, she's a brilliant mimic. I mean, she's great. I mean, she does some really great stuff. But in this, she just wasn't funny. That was the problem with it.
Well-
And I like Melissa McCarthy in most
I
of her
think
stuff.
she's very
like Spy,
funny.
the movie Spy. I
Yeah.
loved her in that.
That's a very
Yeah.
funny movie.
Yeah,
That's Paul Feig.
Mostly
he was
because who
really
knew
good.
Jason
Yeah,
Statham can do comedy?
he was great in that, and
Yeah.
their interactions were wonderful.
Who
And she
directed
played
that movie?
relatively
Paul
straight.
Feig.
Yeah,
Huh.
that was
Or he
Paul
wrote
Feig,
it.
Yeah.
How about
So
that?
so that I'm sure had a great script. I'm sure she improvised, but that had a foundational script and a great cast around her. So anyway, when they
All right,
remake
do we need
that,
to talk
we'll-
about this anymore?
No,
Sean, is there
no,
anything
it was
else?
bad.
Okay.
Zuby
think
don't.
we're-
Oh, sorry, that's
No,
the other
long,
show.
long place.
Sorry about that, man.
All right, so let's spin for the next one. Any last thoughts?
Wait a minute, are we
anybody?
going to thumbs up or down on it?
I think we got it, didn't we?
I think it's
yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
stay
it's
in
a
jail.
stinker.
Were we
Thinker.
not clear, Sean?
Yeah.
Wait, here we go.
yucky.
One down.
All right, hang on. Got a lot of these.
Oh, I hope.
Anybody
it's not
rooting
the-
for anything?
I hope it's. I would love the day the Earth stood still because I love.
I
I'm
love
rooting for
Island of
Evil
Dr.
Dead.
Moreau.
It's
Beauty
gonna
and the
be.
Beast. Beauty and the Beast.
It's gonna be the Island of Dr. Moreau, right? Oh no. Oh,
Oh.
hey!
Ooh. That sounds like your choice, Ralph.
Nope.
Yeah, that was my choice, and now I'm gonna have to
Really?
watch it. And I had
Oh,
no
you
intention
haven't
to
seen.
watch.
Look at my
I have
lights
not.
going crazy.
I did not want to watch this movie because I love the original West Side Story.
Then why would you pick it?
Because I want to make the argument between the two like we do in this.
Understood?
But you'll
And,
have to watch it.
I'm gonna watch
You
it.
gotta
and I'll,
watch it if
I'll
you
see,
don't,
and I'll be
or else you can't-
open-minded about it,
You can't.
and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be surprised. I doubt it.
So is any? I've seen the remake. Has anybody seen it?
I saw
I
like
have
the
not
first
seen it
30
yet.
minutes of it.
30
Okay.
minutes of it.
Yeah.
That's it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't remember it being like so terrible that I probably stopped it because I had to go do something.
Oh.
I don't remember stopping it because it was terrible.
No, but it was so good you didn't want to watch the rest of it.
He stopped it because he didn't want to poke his
come on,
eyes
Chris.
out.
That's a little message there, right? I watched 30 minutes and I didn't hate it as much as I thought I did. I never went back and finished it though.
It's interesting
Like
though.
Debbie and I
'cause
with
that's a
Ghostbusters.
you talk
It
about a
didn't hook
beloved
you.
film,
Yeah, well, 'cause
remade
it-
by Steven
well deserved.
Spielberg.
But-
Yeah, so
Oh, you're talking about the
I'm
remake.
saying you take
Yeah.
it was a big task. To
Is
do
this
film.
going to be like a remake podcast of what we just did today next week? I think so. I bet it is.
That we're going to say the same exact things about the film. There are some
It's going to be a
remakes here
deja
are
vu
better.
podcast. I bet $5.
Yeah, there are some interesting elements in this film that'll be
Yeah.
fun to talk
Yeah.
about for sure.
that I know
Yeah.
some of them.
John is going to go crazy.
I know, but that's okay. I mean, listen. I love the first movie, so I've
All right.
got no problem.
Well, there you go. You get to bring West Side Story and do it however you want to talk about that.
When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Yes, I played riff in summer school. Yes,
Oh
thank
my
you.
goodness.
That's awesome.
You are a rifter.
Let's fight, but first let's dance.
You ever see that skit on Saturday Night Live that they did?
The gangs.
They're doing that.
Hey, what are you doing?
Why are
What
we
you
doing that? All right, what'd you watch, Chris? What'd you watch?
Oh shit.
The first 30 minutes of West Side Story.
Exactly. No, actually, I revisited a movie recently that I absolutely love. I rewatched Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, great
And that
movie.
movie, I can
Great.
I
Crazy
laugh
movie.
every time.
Fun.
I enjoy it. But you know what was kind of fun because I haven't watched it in a few years is the whole first battle he has. Now that we've been watching all these Indian cinema films, kind of takes on a whole new level of funny because the first guy she fights is he fights her first boyfriend Matthew Patel, and he comes out and he does all these little like dance moves, and it's like straight out of an Indian film. Like it's pretty funny. Great movie though. Highly recommend it. Love the soundtrack. You know.
Chris Evans is great in that too.
Does what's her name that played Miss Marvel? What's her name?
Brie Larson.
She does a song. She sings in that one. She's on the
Yeah,
soundtrack.
she plays Envy from the band The Clash at Demon Head, which may be the best name for a band that's not real ever.
I just
Yeah.
read something about that yesterday.
Yeah,
Nice.
she's in it, and so is Brendan Roth, the guy who played Superman in
Right.
the
Superman
Bride-
Returns.
yeah.
A remake. Is that a remake? No, it's not a remake.
No, it was a sequel to
Sequel,
Superman
yeah.
2.
Sequel to Superman 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, they skipped like all the other Superman movies.
because they were bad.
Yes.
And then just pretend that those other ones didn't exist.
All right.
That's happened
Anything
before.
else, Chris, or was that it?
Oh, I actually, we were talking a little bit about George Lucas and Star Wars. You know what is amazing? And I rewatched it. American Graffiti.
Yeah, great movie.
Oh, yeah.
Low budget
sometimes
too.
people forget that he made that movie, and it's great. It's touching and heartfelt, and it's crazy that it seems so different.
Suzanne Summers,
The
Harrison
blonde.
Ford,
Harrison Ford.
Richard
Dreyfuss. Yeah. It's
Suzanne
loaded.
Summers is in that?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the
She
blonde.
plays
that
the
he-
blonde,
Richard
Richard
Dreyfuss
falls in
Dreyfuss,
love with.
Blonde. The elusive blonde.
Did you only watch 30 minutes of it, Chris? Did you watch the whole thing?
Actually, it's funny.
He
I did
had stuff
watch
to
it
do,
first,
John.
He watched it in his
He had
car.
to live his
I
life.
had to go to bed. I'd already made the kids, sandwiches and cleaned up the kitchen. So
Wow.
That's midnight. He's talking about
Wow.
midnight.
So yeah, that's like 11, 12
yeah.
o'clock.
literally,
Right,
it was
on
started
Tuesdays
at
it
like
is.
Oh my
midnight.
God.
All right, John, what'd you watch?
I went to the movies last night and saw the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi on the big screen.
Nice.
And I wrote a little review
Fanboy.
on Facebook. And
You also
You
saw
know,
another film this week.
I
too.
trash current Star Wars, as you guys know, because I think the problem is the people who write it and direct it have never actually watched Star Wars, the original trilogy. Because when I watched it, now I have to preface this by saying, out of the 3 original movies, I think Jedi's the weakest.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Empire is the best.
Yep.
But even the weakest of the 3 is still so much better than what they're making now. And it's funny because the special effects still hold up. It was it's his edition where he has all
special
these
edition.
awful he does these extra things like
He added
Christian
like Hayden
Haydenson.
Christensen.
I hate that. I hate
yeah, I
that.
don't like that either.
Also, and Drew brought this up on Facebook, when he kills the Emperor, they use the no from Revenge of the Sith. No, and that wasn't in the original.
Yeah, it was
it's just-
silent. very
It's right. It's
powerful.
just distracting. I didn't like it. But the thing was, like I listened to an interview where somebody who's currently working on Star Wars said, the thing that's good about Star Wars is there's no good and bad. There's nuance. And I'm like, okay, watch the 3 films. There's good and there's evil. And I like the basics of that and in a fantasy. And also the acting, although it's funny now that I see it again, the acting's a little wooden, except for Harrison Ford. And you see the difference in Harrison Ford's performance and why I think he's so iconic and why I like him so much as an actor. He is so far above everybody else in that movie, including, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. It's just fun to see him 40 years ago, young, cocky. And it was just, I went with a couple of friends who really like Star Wars too, and it just brought me back to a really happy time. I love those movies and made me realize how much I dislike, other than the animated films and shows, and Rogue One, which I really like. I'm not a big fan of almost any of the Star Wars stuff that has come out since those 3 movies. In fact, I'm even warming up to the Lucas prequels, which I don't like at all. But
Ew.
compared to the stuff they're putting out now, like Revenge of the Sith is pretty good compared to the stuff they're putting out now. Anyway, that's what I saw, and
Well,
I loved it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
That was that a Fathom?
N-
Thing?
I don't think it was AMC. I don't know if it was a Fathom, because usually at the beginning they tell you it's Fathom, right?
Yeah, because some of the Fathom stuff, like I've wanted to see it, but I've gone and it just hasn't looked good. It's like they piped
this
it in
looked
from
great.
somewhere. Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
To know.
In fact, I was supposed to go with some friends to see the Lord of the Return of
that's
the
the other
King
one.
extended edition.
Right.
Sold out.
Yeah.
This cinema had 20 people in it. So,
Hmm.
but it looked great. It looked great.
Well,
That's
it
good.
should have had
Effects
more,
hold up.
but I think the franchise has been so diluted and disillusioned that
Yeah. It just
that
It's
was a
fanboys.
film I didn't actually see.
They're all
when it
dying.
came out.
They're all old. They can't get
yeah,
there.
they're all old. Yeah, they don't buy tickets anymore.
Sean and Debbie.
Well, we didn't watch much, but Johnny Carson reruns. And Sean has a little fact about Johnny
Oh
Carson's
yeah, I was reading
show.
because you're reading about because of the strike that they're talking because all the late night shows are off. Carson got 10 million people a show combined
To watch
all-
through
yeah,
the
to
country.
watch, generally every night, which was pretty good for a late night. Combined, the other shows get less than 5 million combined.
What are we
just
talking? Shows now or then?
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Okay,
and-
But he
Johnny
was
Carson had 3 channels.
right.
Yeah, he had 2 other people.
Yeah.
that
I mean, he
he
had.
had 2 other options.
I mean, let's be fair.
But
Well,
how much real life-
to be fair, Sean, he probably would still have a huge audience
He would, yeah.
Yeah.
because of who he was and how he did his show. But I mean,
Well, I'll
But
tell
the
you something
fact
too.
is-
The audience didn't just fade away because of the internet. The audience dropped dramatically a couple of years ago when things got really political. I mean, there was a downturn in the audience.
but there's also a lot more choices that they
Yeah,
have.
There
nobody's
is a lot
watching.
more
Who
choices.
watches
But
network
not-
TV?
There are people who might watch a show on YouTube that you can like and
Right.
subscribe
Well,
to.
Yeah, well, the
Instead of
the
late night
odd thing about
television.
it is 10 million combined Jimmy Fallon,
They're all
Colbert,
named Jimmy.
and Jimmy Kimmel. All the Jimmys.
Right.
You Jimmy
Right.
Jam it.
But again,
They
Yeah.
don't even have all them combined. How many millions?
Five.
but
no,
5
Johnny
million.
Carson was one of a kind.
Right.
No, there's
Yeah,
no
Right.
question.
he
But
was.
it's-
I tell you what,
it's
those
not fair
shows,
to-
But they had
those
writers.
shows are still entertaining now as they
Yeah,
were then.
but
Yeah.
you also have to remember though that until Joan Rivers had her show that went directly, Carson, if you wanted comedy, if you didn't want some rerun of Gunsmoke or whatever, Carson was the only thing on that at that
Right.
time of
Yeah.
night. That was not a rerun until Joan Rivers started her. Wasn't it the Late Show with Joan Rivers?
Don't talk about her. She broke Johnny's heart. No, just
And
kidding.
his show for the longest time was 90 minutes. It
Yeah.
wasn't an
Yeah.
hour.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
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 Also, I did watch something. Debbie was sleeping. I watched a film Ralph talks about all the time periodically.
Clute?
No.
Oh.
What's it? God, I can't remember it. It's the guy. He's a fixer. He's a lawyer. It's
Michael Clayton.
Oh, Michael
Michael
Clayboy?
Clayton.
Great
That's a
movie.
good movie.
Yeah,
That
I
ending
really.
is
I just watched.
great.
I saw it before, and it's like it came up in the queue, and I'm like, I want to watch something. It was after Doom 3. I'm like, I want to watch something that's reasonably intelligent. So
Well edited. And
well edited.
Yeah. I
Well
remember
shot.
when I saw
It's
that. I
a
said,
Star
Well, you
View.
two
I
would
love the
know.
edit.
You
Yeah,
would know about
so
the
good.
editing.
And I
Right.
love
Well, I mean,
the
it's
end
just
of it
what
when
they
he's,
did.
when
Good
he's
editing
telling
is
her
tight.
off. It's like,
Tight.
it's like, you are so stupid. She goes, I'm not the guy you kill. I'm the guy you buy.
That scene and between him and what's her name, Tilda Swinton.
Tilda
Yeah.
Swinton.
Tilda
Yeah,
Swinton.
she's
That's
just-
a great scene.
she's an original Karen. Her name is Karen in that film,
Yeah.
and this
she's
is
the
long before
original Karen.
Karen's, and she is an original.
Laying
Karen.
out the
It's amazing.
pantyhose and
Oh
the
my
dress.
God,
and
she
the
was
bed.
so great, so good.
Great movie.
That's a
Yeah,
great.
so
I thought
really
that's one
enjoyed
they could
watching
make
that
into a
movie.
series, but I'm glad they didn't because it just stands alone.
Yeah.
It's a good film. Good film. All right, Drew.
Well, I did one of my favorite things, which is to show movies to people that they haven't seen that I like. So I actually did that twice this weekend with one group of friends. I watched The Insider again, which was
Oh,
well
great
worth
movie.
revisiting. And
Yep.
the other night I watched Midsummer again, which was well worth revisiting. But I actually went to 2 movies in the theaters this week, and I liked both of them, but I did not expect the reactions that I had to them. One of them was the one I've been super excited about because Nazis get butchered, Sisu.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Finnish movie from the director of Rare Exports, my Christmas
Where's
movie
that
from a couple of
playing?
years ago. I saw it at the Horizon Falston Theater. It's also at White Marsh and some other
Was
places.
it dubbed or?
No, it's
I
an
thought-
English movie, actually. It's in English. It's a Finnish film starring Finnish and German actors, and it's in English. And it's fun. I didn't love it, but it's fun. It's an exploitation movie where Nazis get killed, and like it's only an hour and a half, and it could have been a little faster, and it could have been twice as many Nazis killed, but it's fun, and there's some creative violent stuff, and it's very violent, and I would say it's very gory, except the movie that I liked even more, and I really liked it more than I expected. I saw Evil Dead Rise, and that was fantastic, but that is really gory.
Yeah, that
And
looks like a
in the
freak show.
original the Evil Dead remake that came out 10 years ago, which I put on the wheel, that movie is very good and scary and really wet. And Kelly likes horror movies, but she doesn't like the wet ones. If it's so much goo and so much blood, she spent about a third of that movie inside of her hoodie on her phone, so she didn't have to watch it. So I said to her, "Do you want to go see Evil Dead Rise?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll go see it." I said, "Well, Air is playing at the same time. Would you like to go to that?" So she went and she saw Air, with the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie about Nike, which she said was very good, and I would like to see. And I went and saw Evil Dead Rise, and it is an absolute blast. It is relentless and incredibly well shot and made. The director, it's only his second feature, and it's really amazing. If you like horror at all, it's worth seeing. If you like just a really intense, crazy movie experience, Evil Dead Rise was great for me. It was relentless and entertaining, and these actors that I've never seen before, because it's set in New York, I guess, but it's shot in New Zealand.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, right.
Yeah.
It's all these Kiwi actors, and they're all great. And it's also a movie about a family. A mother is possessed and threatens her children, and don't get too attached to anybody. The movie is definitely balls to the wall crazy. So I liked Sisu, but I really liked Evil Dead Rise, which surprised me.
Okay, good. I also saw two films, and one of them was Evil Dead Rise. And I thoroughly enjoyed that film, although I think it lacks some of and the 2013 did the same thing. I like them both. I like the 2013 and I like this one, but they
missed
kind of lack the
2013.
playfulness of the original Evil Dead.
They absolutely did. Yeah.
And
All of
I've
Evil
heard
Dead
it
too. Yeah.
I heard it described like this director likes horror but doesn't like the Three Stooges, unlike
Unlike
Sam
Raimi.
Raimi.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
So they kind of and without Ash in these, it's a little bit, you kind of miss that. But as a film, you're right. It's shot beautifully. And it has a lot of children in it, the family. And I saw another film that has children, which I loved even better, and that's the Hey God, It's Me, Margaret. Hello God,
Oh, I
It's Me,
want to see
Margaret.
that.
I want to see
Oh
that too.
my Lord. This film, I broke down in tears in this film. And it's not
Oh,
made for
good.
me. This is made for I
Awesome.
don't know who it's made. I think because the book's for young women, basically. This movie was just the woman, the girl, the 13-year-old or the 12-year-old, she's incredible as in the part. And I just thoroughly enjoyed that film. And I think it should be a huge hit. I don't know. I hope it's getting a lot of love out there, but it's a great film. And it takes place in the 70s, and it hits all the 70s beats. And all the girls in it are fantastic. And it's just a fun film.
Awesome.
And it had like Evil Dead. You're right about the kids in that one. I mean, I can't believe the things that went on in that film. I don't find it. I think the 2013 was gorier.
Okay.
The stuff that went on in 2013, I thought was a little tougher to take. This one was a little less. I mean, it was a lot. You're right. It's wet. There's no question. It's wet. And the director really knows how to shoot some stuff. I just think it doesn't have the playfulness and it doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't.
I
And
think
that's
you're
what's
right.
missing
And
a little
I
bit.
think that's a deliberate choice that Fede Alvarez made when he made the Evil Dead remake,
Right.
and that Lee Cronin made on this one. And you can decide whether you like that or not, and that's totally fair. Because
Right.
I mean, Evil Dead has made 5 movies, and they all are different in tone. The closest in tone are Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, in that they're more comedic. Because Evil
Right.
Dead is basically a horror movie made for $4.
Right.
Evil Dead 2 has a lot more money, and they made the same movie but funnier. And
Yeah.
like you said, with the Three Stooges, all that kind of stuff. And playing Evil Dead straight in 2013 really worked for me. And also Jane Levy as the main character, the addict that they were trying to
She
help,
was good. That was a good
fearless
approach too.
and crazy. And
Yeah, good
I
approach.
think her name is Alyssa Sutherland, plays the mother.
Yeah.
In
redheaded
this
lady.
one, same thing. An amazing performance to build this movie around.
Right.
And,
But
and
again,
it's creative and crazy, but no,
here's-
it's not funny.
well, and the problem is that I have with it is it's not an Evil Dead film. It could be any possessed film. It could be any film about possession. And they call out a couple things that happen in it to get the fanboys
It's
happy
got the
about what
book,
they're
though,
seeing. They
right?
do a couple of things where they call some stuff out. But
Yes, there's
anyway,
a book
still
of
a
the
great
dead.
film. It's a great film.
Well, I will
But-
say, I forgot to say that when I was watching it, there were only 4 people in the theater with me. And so I was watching it and we were enjoying it. And about 40 minutes before the end, when you're really deep into the craziness of the movie, this man staggered into the theater in the dark. And if you've ever seen the Evil Dead movies, they're not zombies. They don't move like people, but they don't stagger around like zombies, these deadites. And he started sort of just staggering around the front of the theater. And I got really concerned that I was either watching a medical emergency
Oh,
or
geez.
that the
Or
movie
deadites.
had come to life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So
That's
then he came, then he walked up the stairs and it looked like he took his phone out. And I thought maybe he's having a medical problem, or maybe he's looking like at his ticket to try to find his seat, because it's one of these people that like he went into the screening too early or something. So I swear to God, I stood up ready to help, and I said under my breath, just in case, come get some. And I walked over, and it was a guy who couldn't find his seat, and he I showed him where to sit, and he didn't say thank you and stomped off. But I was glad that I was ready to fight him if he was possessed, and he wasn't. So
Yeah, well,
Oh my goodness.
it's
was
an
ridiculous.
interesting.
You know what's amazing? Because we don't write any of this stuff. You know, that's why that we're not going to get in trouble with the guild here. But, you know, just that story alone, Drew, is so entertaining. You know, maybe people will be so hard up for entertainment, they'll turn to us on the podcast.
That's
and
true. This is a big
smash
moment
that
for us.
button.
I don't know if they'll
There
be
you
that
go.
hard up.
Well, you
because
never
there's
know.
no late night TV shows on right now. There's no late
That's
night
right.
guys.
Nothing.
So, yeah,
Much
believe me.
worse than me.
There,
TV,
if
please.
anybody's watching at this point, I'd be shocked. So that'd be great.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mother Carson.
I hope so. But the movie to see is Hello God, It's Me, Margaret. You got to
Yeah.
go see that.
That's good to hear.
Just it's so good, so good.
Do you think if they had to combine both elements in both movies, it would have been better?
Well, they both have children in it, and and yeah, no, it's fascinating. They did things in Evil Dead I didn't think they would do, and they did it. So
That's true.
that's fun. All right, so there we go. So next week it's the remake of West Side Story. So
Na-na-na-na-na.
there we go. Yeah, let's go. All right. No subtitles in that movie, by the way. There's some Spanish spoke, but
Oh,
Steven
great.
Spielberg decided
I
not to
hope
put
their
subtitles.
Hindi is good.
That's good.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
Oh no, absolutely, sure.
Well, I have some friends from Spain, so I know how to speak Spanish.
There you go.
Muy bien, muy bien.
All
I
right,
walked
everybody.
through the airport and I
I got a
See
D in
y'all.
Spanish, so I'm
That's
gonna be
it.
in
Have a good
trouble.
week.
See you
Goodbye.
guys.
Good.
Everybody,
See.
have a great week. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button.
Yeah.
Like it.